in there, show the improvement each time.
And which I'm guessing I'm related to sub because the title is different.
I carry the other one out.
Well, let's go. We just do like quad wave, dragon, for
So I planned to
massive thing.
watch the beta pitch.
When you watch
Or 11. Came on and
We're
around.
gonna have the worst off.
Yeah. It was,
never watched first thing.
I don't know.
I can't.
I did just because.
I know. How you can
Zoe, yes, ma'am. Are you concentrating? No, I was.
That was on the couch. Yeah.
Huh?
I can't do it anymore. I was screen or I was trying to say it for one of them.
I'm gonna move downstairs.
Yeah, well, we normally just do it there, but we have
Yeah, I got all my stuff here, so.
See if the,
I love your green sweater.
I wanna see if,
I just have some of those,
You're fine, sorry. Who told her, like, no? Where I have to ask Julio. Thank you, Zoe. Yes, I have it's not gonna look, it's gonna look when it's done. If it came back to you. So there's like, what's up, lay down and this is better down. So you don't, I'm not sure it's that. But, as long as you're not wasting entirely, it is better. And you can see that I was trying to figure out how to get my school onto the other side. So if you're, okay, that's fine, I'll stay up for a second. Otherwise, I can create on the top. No, that's okay. So the seasonal will go. And then, those two seasons. Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
It's a,
Oh,
should have been cozy.
so I did it. Thank you. Do you not
You probably swear the others.
Where go goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then,
Oh, I'm really sorry.
You're now you can walk.
Well, I think I have everything else on the radar.
If it's
okay, so this, she just asked us, she said, like, I think, oh, cool. I didn't even see that. It's my voice.
Okay.
Also,
So, yeah.
that crate, I think, was illustration.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They don't. Okay, awesome.
No.
Thank you. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, for sure.
Let's see.
This is gonna be the worst.
Colonel Johnson said he hired
Got it.
Hanson.
Thank you. Very excited. Okay, for sure. Thank you so much. Yes.
I didn't recognize.
Thank you.
it's sad, but it's also happy because it means that like you're moving forward in life. When it's sad, and I get that, I was sad too, but it's also happy because it means you're moving forward in life.
She didn't get her, like, didn't get a, I was waiting. I was really under, that's the word. I really wanted to, like, exactly where closures from the office.
Well, I sort of that's on the side as well.
No, I love that. Me too. He's like,
Man, it's so sad.
Some of the artisans of
Watch that thing in one of my classes, involved in this last year.
and then Pam does it.
Me on this court.
She's like, it's so stupid, but she
Discipline
doesn't.
surgery.
doesn't feel good.
Like,
I just, I
were
know.
you in
I
such
get
a
that.
class?
No.
Can you yell at me when you got it?
You need to get out of my head. I need to get out of my head, boys. Get out of it. Okay, is this the worst goose farm? Like the best? And I keep wanting to do that. I don't know why. I guess it's just because I've never like. No, that's.
Your turn right there, so the board, on the same line. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
It's just paint that net.
Oh.
The one I use for drawings. So
That's why the parking lot.
Whoa. I don't use text very well, so other way around, you know.
Jesse, it's okay. It's more than I'm doing it.
You have,
There.
you have
Got it?
access
Yep.
to
Yes.
entire-
Thank you.
Yep.
Mine was Justin a little bit.
Sorry, I was here.
I can't just be like, you're
That's what we use
We got one? All right. How does two look?
fine.
Okay. So we're just on all those.
Thank you so much. Oh, yay. Okay, do you want me to wear that headset today?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I haven't like worked with Marshall headsets before, so.
Oh, you want me to show you how to?
Yeah, that'd be great, because I work with GP headsets.
Right, yeah, those are their different.
Digital capture.
Yeah, it's super screwball, that's what I'm trying to fix. You don't need to cover it off on the desk?
I guess I don't think about it. I'm not like ecstatic because like I've been in dating so
Yeah, you can try it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I think I'm too
Oh, I think you like that.
it's not that.
Got that one at 1.9, right, Matthew? At 1.9? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool if you say I'm excited about it.
And I will
What did I
certainly.
what did I set the DA to?
You had said they give you the 7 items.
Five good places.
And it should be switched forward to IA
How many?
instead of MANU.
5.
Where do I change that?
Thank you, 5.
You know where the on-off switch is on camera 2? It's the same location.
Oh, up on the 8. Okay.
No. On the camera itself, if you compare it to camera 2, it's the same spot where the power button is on the camera 2.
Right here.
Right, there's the on-off, you have one other thing.
No, I'm comparing camera 1 to camera 2. It's in the same location. Camera 2 power. No, it should be 2.
John said it should be on.
Oh, okay. I heard it.
I don't know. He was talking to me.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay, let's see how that looks on the 8 tab.
Okay, so I apologize.
That's okay.
That's
That's exactly what I did. I should understand
What?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I know some
I'm
Justin.
kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know why this is the show.
I'm changing it because it did change.
No, it looks great, don't mess with it.
Okay, well, I'm just setting it to 7.
Yeah, it looks way better.
And then the white balance was set to something else, I think. Okay, oh, that's good. Yeah, it's all the same now.
yes. Perfect. Well, that's the automatic setting, so hopefully we'll just work towards. Wait.
Okay.
I do.
So right now it's at 32,000.
Nothing has changed.
No, I haven't changed it yet.
Okay, yeah.
I can.
That's the white balance.
Okay.
That's the game.
Okay. Tell me what now.
Sorry.
You're good. You want it up, right?
Yes.
I sent you the picture.
Okay, that's map, should match the other one. That's 7.
Still darker, but let's bring it up a little bit more.
That's 8.
A little more.
9.
Leave it.
Okay, we'll
We should have light and sound operators up here 1 minute start. Encourage you to be close at least. We're going to put down a little bit on the right side.
Yeah, it's close. All those other people on the other side are losing out.
Can you ask if Steve has his own phone?
Yeah, he does. He has it, yeah. How's it going, bystander?
Huh?
How's it going, bystander?
It's going good. How about you?
Good.
Yeah. Looking forward to today.
You looking forward to?
Looking forward to today.
You are?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like this evening.
Yeah.
How's it been so far?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I just started working at Ross.
Oh, cool.
So I had to sit on the computer for 3 hours.
Oh wow. Yeah, I got some friends who.
Yeah, it was my last on my list place, you know, like to work, but anyway, I'm there.
Yeah, but I've worked out.
Good job.
Yeah, it's good.
I like eating food, so.
Sorry. Yeah.
Actually, I might grab a hand over there too.
Okay.
They'll just figure stuff out. I think they just try to wait for it. Or you may just come up and stand and they'll do, oh, I have to go. They'll pull you off. That might be a little too complicated.
Do you mind? Oh, we're doing that in your test.
For sure, sorry, thank you.
No, no, you're fine. I realize that you're captain, right?
Okay, I'm in center stage. I'm talking.
You're
I am speaking in a normal voice. You want me to keep talking until you tell me to stop? Alright. I am the very model of a modern Major General. I have information vegetable. A little more? Okay, like, about like this? Is it okay? Oh, okay. Hi, I'm an actress. I'm on stage and I don't know any lines. I'm talking.
You don't have like a memorized monologue you just pull out of your back pocket?
Sing a song.
I want a hippopotamus because my...
Actress are you? You don't know a monologue.
I know, it's really sad because I've done a ton of monologues, but like I know the monologues I've done.
Here's one. To be or not to be.
What monologue
Two
can I say
bees
off the top of my
or
head?
not two bees.
Did you have one?
How are your
My name is
stage?
Rose Hoffman. I teach third grade.
Do you not remember the monologue?
No,
Oh my gosh, when's the last time you did it? I thought it was Pepper.
like 3 months ago. I
Whether
don't
tis
like
noble
that
in the
monologue.
mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, to take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing anything.
Okay. What's that from? There it is.
To be or not to be.
As soon as I learn
Okay,
monologue,
okay. I'm sorry, I've never read Hamlet. I've read quite a few other
What?
theater shows. But
I
Hamlet is
thought you
not
had to
read
read Hamlet.
Where's this world coming to?
what?
In
Young
New York, they
people who
make
don't
you
know
read
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
I'm sorry, I know the Scottish play. I know Romeo and Juliet. I know
You're gonna have
Twelfth
to kick
Night.
you
I
out of the
love
theater now.
You know Hamlet.
Huh?
You know Hamlet, right?
I know what Hamlet is. I've never read Hamlet.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes, so I know, of
Have
course,
you seen a Hamlet?
I haven't. I know the basic kind of story that it goes, but I've never. You've seen Hamlet?
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
Hamlet.
I haven't seen Hamlet.
I've seen almost
I've seen
all
Hamlet
of
with
them.
a chick.
I think I have.
Even some of the
Chick
rare
is
ones.
Hamlet.
Even some of the really
Do
terrible.
you want me to still keep talking? Is this
There are.
okay?
Yes, there are.
The one that I spoke
Yes.
Hello?
There are.
Alas,
Yeah.
alas, poor Uric. I knew him, Horatio.
It was like the 1880s or something. I was still, yeah.
Fellow of infinite
Oh,
jest.
Haritone, like up here.
What's fun?
Pitchy?
See them done.
Is that what you said?
differently, you know, every
Get
time.
loud. I'm
story,
loud and I'm on
That's not
stage.
loud.
Is this not loud? Do you want me to be louder?
I produced and directed.
Gotcha,
a
okay.
production of Corey and
I wish I knew monologue, but I can't think of one right now, so I'm just gonna keep talking and be loud. Hi Sean, how are you? How's your day going? Hi everybody, great show. I like the green
Sort
walls.
of like
Cool,
Mad
thank you.
Max meets Coriolanus.
Thank you. I'll be your whole
Yeah.
Have you ever, you probably came up with a Shakespeare festival? Oh, yeah. Many times. Yeah. That used to be our kind of hall. We kind of got out of the habit of going, of course now. But yeah, oh wait, Ron has some bit there. I watched the British then started this crisis.
Yes, we watched.
We watched it, kind of, we had so much fun.
We watched Anthony and Cleopatra's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
It was so horrible.
I agree with you.
Oh, she was was just horrible. And she destroyed his. That was just, I was, oh my God, what happened here?
Did you see, they did also, I think it was that, was it Cat on a Hot, no, not Cat.
Stop!
No.
Streetcar Named Desire.
Streetcar Named Desire, with the girl that was in the UFO show. The what?
The UFO show.
You know,
Oh, I know, Jimmy and Flynn.
X-Files?
Yeah,
X-Files.
Oh, okay.
That girl played.
She played
Blanche.
Blanche?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Was she any good?
My boyfriend.
No.
I didn't really
You didn't
like it.
No.
I
Okay.
didn't like it.
I don't see her as that role.
She was intense, but, you know, didn't go, it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I don't see that as being her role.
Yeah. But everybody else was wonderful. Oh, I just wanna-
I'm getting chilled to the bone. What can Freddie be doing all this time? He's been gone 20 minutes.
Not so long, but he ought to have got us a cab by now.
You won't get no cab, not until 11:30, missus, when they come back after dropping their theatre fares.
But we must have a cab. We can't stand here until 11:30. It's too bad.
Well, it ain't my fault, missus.
If Freddie had a bit of gumption, he would have got one at the theater door.
What could he have done, poor boy?
Other people got cabs. Why couldn't he? Well, haven't you got a cab?
There's not one to be had for love or money.
Oh, Freddie, there must be one. You can't have tried.
It's too tiresome. Do you expect us to go out and get one ourselves?
They were all engaged.
Did you try Trafalgar Square?
There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square.
Did you try?
They were all engaged, I tell you. I walked from Charing Cross Station all the way to Hammersmith. No one was expecting the rain. They all had to take cabs. They were all engaged. Why?
Yes, we did.
Sure.
Can't hear. I can't hear. I can't hear.
Let's
with
go
the
from
rain.
Trafalgar Square.
Did you try Trafalgar Square?
There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square.
Did you try?
I tried as far as Charing Cross Station. Did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith? We gotta go again. I'm out of it.
I'm getting chilled to the bone. What can Freddie be doing all this time? He's been gone 20 minutes.
Not so long, but he ought to have got us a cab by now.
You won't get no cab, not until 11:30, missus, when they come back after dropping their theatre fares.
But we must have a cab. We can't stand here until 11:30. It's too bad.
Well, it ain't my fault, missus.
If Freddie had a bit of gumption, he would have got one at the theater door.
What could he have done, poor boy?
Other people got cabs. Why couldn't he? Well, haven't you got a cab?
Oh, there's not one to be had for love or money.
There must be one. You can't have tried.
But they're all engaged. The rain was so sudden. Nobody was prepared. Everyone had to take a cab. I've been from Charing Cross Station to one way, all the way to Ludgate Circus the other. They're all engaged.
Did you try Trafalgar Square?
There wasn't one at Trafalgar Square.
Did you try?
I went as far as Charing Cross Station. Did you expect me to walk to Hammersmith?
Oh, you haven't tried at all.
You really are very helpless, Freddie. Go again, and don't come back until you have found a cab.
I shall simply get soaked for nothing.
Oh, and what about us? Are we to stand here all night in this downpour with next to nothing on?
All right, I'll go.
bunches of lions traveling to the man and not a penny offered.
Do nothing of the sort, Mother. The idea. Please allow me, Clara. Have you any pennies?
No, I've nothing smaller than a sixpence. I can give you change for a tin coin, lady.
Give it to me. Now, this is for your flowers.
Thank you kindly, lady.
Now tell me how you know that young gentleman's name.
I didn't.
I heard you call him by it. Don't try to deceive me.
Who's trying to deceive you? Old and Freddie and Charlie, same as you might if you was talking to a stranger and wished to be pleasant.
Sixpence thrown away.
Really, Mama? You might have spared Freddie that.
Phew!
Oh, sir, is there any sign of it stopping?
I'm afraid not. It started worse than ever about 2 minutes ago.
Oh, dear.
It's worse as a sign it's nearly over. So cheer up, Captain. Bye, flower, poor girl.
I'm sorry, I really haven't any change.
I can give you change, Captain.
For a sovereign, I've nothing less.
Oh, now do buy a flower off me. I can change half crown. Take this for tuppence.
Now, don't be troublesome. There's a girl, I really haven't any change. Oh, stop. Here's 3 halfpence if that's any use to you.
Thank you, sir. Be careful. You're not a flower foot. There's a bloke here behind taking down every blessed word you're saying. Well, I ain't done nothing wrong for speaking of the gentleman. I have a right to sell flowers that come off the curb. I'm a respectable girl, so help me out. I know it's not to accept you asking to buy a flower of me. Oh, settle down, Chauncey. You don't know what it means to me. So I'll take away my character and try to hold the
There! What's hurting you, you silly girl? What do you take me for?
It's alright, he's a gentleman. Look at his boots. She thought he was a copper's knot, sir.
What's a copper's knot?
It's a... Well, it's a copper's knot. Well, what else would you call it? A sort of informer.
I take my Bible oath. I never said a word to him.
Shut up! Shut up! Do I look like a policeman?
Well, what did you take down my words for? How do I know you took me down right? You just show me what you wrote about me. Well, what's that? That ain't proper writing. I can't read that.
I can. Cheer up, Captain. Buy a flower off the plug air.
It's because I called him Captain. Oh, sir! I meant no harm. Don't let him lay a charge against me for a word like that.
Charge? I make no charge. Really, sir, if you are a detective, you need not begin protecting me against molestation by young women until I asked you. Anybody could see the girl meant no harm.
I speak a girl can't shuttle from the ring without being insulted.
You never said a word to him. What harm if she did?
He ain't a knock. He's a blooming busybody. That's what he is. I take a look at his boots.
How are all of your people down at Chelsea?
Oh, do you my people come from Chelsea?
Never you mind, they did. And how do you come to be so far east? You were born in Listen Grove.
Oh, what honor is there to my leave in Lissing Grove? It wasn't fit for a pig to live in, and I had to pay 4 and 6 a week.
Leave where you like, only stop that noise. Come, he can't touch you. You have a right to live where you feel.
Like, for instance, I like to go to Hosey twice a week, you I would.
I'm a good girl, I am.
Do you know where I come from? Parkston. Well, you said it. I mean, you know everything.
I ain't no gold medal with me, I ain't.
Of course he ain't. Don't you stand from him. See, what's all of you to know about people who never offered to meddle with you? Where's your warrant?
Yes, what is your warrant?
Let him say what he likes. Don't want to have no truck with him.
Boy, take us with the ugly feet, don't you? Catch you talking to me to the gentleman.
Yes, tell him. Where do you come from? You don't know what you think.
Cheltenham, Harrow, Cambridge, and India. Quite right. May I ask, sir, do you do this for your living in a music hall? I thought of that. Perhaps I shall someday.
He's no right line. He's no gentleman, he ain't. Never interfere with the poor girl.
What on earth is Freddie doing? I shall get pneumonia if I stay in this draft any longer. Will you please keep your impertinent remarks to yourself?
Oh, did I say that out loud? I beg your pardon. Your mother's Epsom, unmistakably.
How very curious. I was brought up in Lodge Lady Park near Epsom.
What the devil of a name?
thank you.
There! I knew he was a pen loose, Papa.
Hey, a police whistle? That's a sport whistle. He's no right to take away my character. My character's as hard to me as any light is.
Don't know if you noticed it, Knock. The rain stopped about 2 minutes ago.
Also, has. Why'd you say so before? And us losing our time listening to your silliness.
I can tell where you come from. You come from Anwell. Go back there.
Hanwell.
Thank you, teacher. Ha ha. So long. Frightening people like that. How would he like it himself?
It's quite fine now, Clara. We can walk to a motor bus. Come.
But the cab. Oh, how tiresome. Poor gal. Hard enough to live without being worrited and chilly.
How do you do it, if I may ask? Well, simply phonetics, the science of speech. You can tell that's my profession, also my hobby. Happy's the man who can make a living from his hobby. You can tell an Irishman or a Yorkshireman by his brogue. I can place a man within 6 miles, within 2 miles in London, sometimes within 2 streets.
Ought to be ashamed of himself, unmanly coward.
How do you do it, if I may ask? Yes, there is a fat living in it. We live in an age of upstarts. Men start off in Kentish Town at £80 a year, they wind up part late 100,000. They wish to drop the Kentish Town, and I can teach them how to...
Let him mind his own business and leave a poor gal alone.
Woman! Cease this detestable boo-hooing this instant, or go seek the shelter of some other place of worship.
I've a right to be her fly like same as you.
A woman who utters such distressing and disgusting sounds has no right to be anywhere, no right to live. Try to remember that you're a human being with soul and the divine gift of articulate speech, that your language is the language of Shakespeare and Milton and the Bible, and don't sit there crooning like a bilious pigeon.
Ow!
Heavens, what a sound.
God.
You see this creature with her curbstone English? The English that shall keep her in the gutter till the end of her days? Why, in 3 months I could pass this girl off as a duchess at Ambassador's garden party. I could even get her a place as a lady's as a lady's maid or as a shop assistant, which requires even better English. That's the sort of thing I do for commercial millionaires. And on the profits of it, I do genuine scientific work in phonetics, as well as some poetry along Miltonic lines.
I am myself a student of Indian dialects.
Are you? Do you know Colonel Pickering, author of Spoken Sanskrit?
I am Colonel Pickering. Who are you?
Henry Higgins, author of Higgins' Universal Alphabet.
Oh, I came from India to meet you.
I was going to India to meet you.
Where do you live?
27A Wimpole Street. Come see me tomorrow.
Well, I'm at the Carlton. Come with me now and let's have a jaw over some supper.
Right you are.
Or buy a flower off me, kind gentleman. Shot for me, large.
I really haven't any change, I'm sorry.
Liar, you said you could change half a crowd.
You ought to be stuffed with nails, you are. Here, that's old bloomin' basket for 6p.
What do you want me to do if that sound cue doesn't come?
Sorry, we're dealing with some stuff up here.
Hey, reminder.
Um,
Ding, 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 ding.
Hello? Got the last one. Where were the 2 women that were here?
They walked to the bus when the rain stopped.
And left me with a cab on my hands and nation.
Never you mind, young man. I'm going out in a taxi. 8p ain't no object to me, Charlie. I'm the Bob Drury lying round the corner of Nicholson's oil shop. That's the best you can make a hop at.
Well, I am dashed.
the whole show.
It's really amazing. I haven't taken half of it in, you know.
Would you care to go over any of the game?
No, thank you, not now. I'm quite done up for this morning.
Tired of listening to sounds.
Yes, yes, it's a fearful strain. I quite fancied myself a line.
I rather fancied
I
myself
rather fancied myself line.
because I can pronounce 24 distinct vowel sounds.
I rather fancy myself because I can pronounce 24 distinct vowel sounds, but your 130 beat me. I can't hear a bit of difference between most of them.
Oh, it comes with practice. You get no difference at first, but then you repeat them over and over again, and sooner or later they sound as different as A from B. What's the matter?
A young woman wants to see you, sir.
A young woman? What does she want?
Well, sir, she says you'll be glad to see her when you know what she's come about. She's quite a common girl, sir. Very common indeed. I should have sent her away, only I thought perhaps you wanted her to talk into your machines. I hope I've not done wrong, but really, you see such queer people sometimes. You'll excuse me, sir, I'm sure.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Pierce. Show her. Has she an interesting accent?
Oh, something dreadful, sir, really. I don't see how you can take an interest in it.
Show her up. Let's have her up.
Very well, sir. It's for you to say.
This is a rather bit of luck. I'll show you how I make records. We'll set her talking, and I'll first take her down in Bell's visible speech, then in broad rhodic. Then we'll get her on the cylinder, and then you can listen to her with the transcript before you.
This is the girl, sir.
Oh, this is the young woman I jotted down last night. She's no use. I have all the records I want to listen groveling. Oh, I shan't waste another cylinder on it. Be off with you. I don't want you.
Don't you be so saucy. You ain't know where to come for yet. Did you tell him I come in a taxi?
Nonsense, girl. What do you think a gentleman like Mr. Higgins cares what you came in?
Oh, you're proud. Well, he ain't above giving lessons, not him. I heard him say so. Well, here I am, not asking her for any compliment, but if my money's not good enough, I can go elsewhere.
Good enough for what?
Good enough for you. Now you know, don't you? I'm going to have lessons, I am, and to pay for them too, make no mistake.
Well, what do you expect me to say to you?
Well, if you was a gentleman, you might ask me to sit down, I think. Don't I tell you I'm bringing you business?
Pickering, shall we ask this baggage to sit down, or shall we throw her out of the window?
No, I won't be called a baggage when I've offered to pay like any lady.
What is it you want, my girl?
I want to be a lady in a flower shop instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. They won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. He said he could teach me. Here I am, not asking any favour, and he treats me as if I was dirt.
How can you... Line. How can you be such a foolish, ignorant girl as to think you could afford to pay Mr. Higgins?
Why shouldn't I? I know a lessons cost as well as you do, and I'm ready to pay.
How much?
Now you're talking. Thought you'd come off it when you saw a chance of getting back a better way you chucked at me last night. You had a drop in that, didn't you?
Sit down.
Oh, if you're going to make a compliment of it.
Sit down.
Sit down, girl. Do as you're told.
Oh!
Won't you sit down?
Don't mind if I do.
What's your name?
Liza Doolittle.
Eliza. Elizabeth, Betsy, and Bess went to the woods to fetch a bird's nest.
They found a nest with 4 eggs in it.
They took one apiece and left 3 in it.
Don't be silly.
You mustn't talk to the gentleman like that.
Well, why won't he speak sensible to me?
Come back to business. How much do you propose to pay for the lesson?
I know what's right. A lady friend of mine gets French lessons for 18 pence an hour from a real French gentleman. You wouldn't have the face to ask me the same for teaching me my own language as you would for French, so I won't give more than a shilling. Take it or leave it.
Pickering, if you consider consider a shilling not as a simple shilling, but as a percentage of this girl's income, it works out to equivalent to 60 or 70 guineas from a millionaire.
How so?
Well, figure it out. A millionaire has about £150 a day. She earns half a crown.
Oh, don't you I
She offers me 2/5 of a day's earnings for a lesson. 2/5 of a millionaire's earnings would be £60. It's handsome. By George, it's enormous. It's the biggest offer I've ever had.
£60? I never offered you £60. Where would I get £60?
Ooh, hold your tongue.
But I ain't got £60.
Don't cry, you silly girl. Now sit down. Nobody is going to touch your money.
Somebody is going to touch you with a broomstick if you don't sit down.
Oh, one would think you was my father.
If I decide to teach you, I'll be worse than 2 fathers to you. Here,
What's this for?
to wipe your eyes, to wipe any part of your face that feels moist. Try to remember, that is your handkerchief, that is your sleeve. Don't mistake one for the other if you wish to be a lady in a shop.
It's no use talking to her like that, sir. She doesn't understand you. Besides, you've got it wrong. She doesn't do it that way at all.
Here, you give me that handkerchief. You give it to me, not to you.
He did. I think it must be regarded as a property, Mrs. Pierce.
Serve you right, Mr. Higgins.
Higgins, I'm interested. What about the ambassador's garden party? I'll say you're the greatest teacher alive if you make that good. I'll bet you all the expenses of the experiment you can't do it, and I'll pay for the lesson.
Oh, you are real good. Thank you, Captain.
It's almost irresistible. She's so deliciously low, so horribly dirty.
Oh, I ain't dirty. I wash my face and hands before I come, I did.
You're certainly not going to turn her head with flattery, Higgins.
No, don't say that, sir. There's more ways than one of turning a girl's head. And nobody can do it better than Mr. Higgins, though he may not always mean it. I do hope, sir, that you won't encourage him to do anything foolish.
But what is life but a series of inspired follies? The difficulty is finding them to do. Never miss a chance. They don't come every day. Lie. I shall make a duchess of this draggle-tailed gutter snipe.
Oh.
Yes. In 6 months, in 3, if she has a good ear and a quick tongue, I shall take her anywhere and pass her off as anything. We'll start today, this moment. Take her downstairs, Mrs. Pierce, and clean her up monkey brand if it won't come off any other way. Is there a good hot fire in the kitchen?
Yes,
Don't
but...
take off all of her clothes and burn them. Ring up Whiteley or someone for some new ones and dress her in brown paper till they come.
Oh, line.
You're no gentleman.
You're no gentleman, you're not to talk of such things. I'm a good girl, I am. And I know what the like of you are, I do.
We'll have none of your listen grow prudery here, young woman. You've got to learn how to become a duchess. Lie.
Take her away.
Take her away, Mrs. Pierce. If she gives you any trouble, wall her.
Oh no! I'll call the police, I will.
But I've no place to put her.
Put her in the dustbin.
Come, Higgins, be reasonable.
You must be reasonable, Mr. Higgins. Really, you must. You can't walk over everybody like this.
I walk over anybody. My dear Mrs. Pierce, my dear Pickering, I assure you I had no intentions of walking over anybody. I merely propose that we need to be kind to this poor girl, to help her prepare for her new station in life. If I did not make myself clear, it was because I did not wish to hurt her line, delicacies, or yours.
Well, did you ever hear anything like that, sir?
Never, Mrs. Pierce, never.
What's the matter?
The matter is, sir, that you can't take up a girl like that as if you were picking up a pebble on the beach.
Why not?
Why not? But You don't know anything about her. What about her parents? She may be married.
Gone.
There. As the girl so perfectly puts it, gone, married indeed. Don't you know a woman of that class looks a worn-out drudge of 50 a day after she's married?
Who to marry me?
By George, Eliza, by the time I'm done with you, men will be shooting themselves in no, that's not right. By George, Eliza, by the time I'm done with you, the streets will be strewn with the body of some men shooting themselves for your sake.
I'm going away.
Nonsense, sir. You can't talk like that to her.
I'm going away. He's off his trumpy ears. I won't have no Bomies teaching me.
Oh, mad, am I? Very well then. Never mind, Mrs. Pierce. You needn't order the new clothes for her. Throw her up.
No! You got no right to touch me!
Now you see what becomes of being saucy. This way, please.
Don't want no clothes. I want a diamond. I'll buy me own clothes.
You are an ungrateful, wicked girl. This is my reward for offering to take you and dress you beautifully and make a lady of you.
Stop it, Mr. Higgins. I won't allow it. You are the one who is wicked. Go home to your parents, girl, and tell them to take better care of you.
I ain't got no parents. They told me I was big enough to earn me own living and turn me out.
Where's your mother?
I ain't got no mother. The other turned me out was my sixth stepmother. But I done without my half. I'm a good girl, I am.
There, you see? The girl doesn't belong to anyone. She's no use to anyone but me. You can adopt her, Mrs. Pierce. I'm sure a daughter will be a great amusement to you. Now, never make any more fuss. Bundle her off to the bathroom.
But what's to become of her? Is she to have any wages? You must do be sensible, sir.
Pay her whatever's necessary. Put it down in the housekeeping book. What would she want with money? She'll have her food and her clothes. She'll only drink if you give her money.
Oh, you are a brute. It's a lie. Nobody ever saw the silent liquor on me.
Does it occur to you, Higgins, that that girl has some feelings?
No. At least not anything you need worry about, have you, Eliza?
I've got my feelings, same as anyone else.
You see the difficulty?
What difficulty?
To get her to talk grammar, the mere pronunciation is easy enough.
I don't want to talk grammar. I want to talk like a lady.
Will you please keep to the point, sir? I want to know on what terms the girl is to be here. Is she to have any wages? What is to become of her when you've finished your teaching? You must look ahead a little.
What's to become of her if I leave her in the gutter, Mrs. Pierce? Answer me that.
That is her own business, not yours, Mr. Higgins.
Very well, then. When I'm done with her, we'll put her back in the gutter and it'll be her own business again. That'll be all right.
Feeling hot, you don't. You don't care for nothing but yourself. Here, I've had enough of this. I'm going. Ought to be ashamed of yourself, you ought.
Have some chocolates, Eliza.
How do I know what might be in it? Heard of girls being drugged by the like of you.
Pledge of good faith. I'll eat one. You eat one. You shall have boxes of them, barrels of them. You shall live on them every day.
Oh, when I'm taking it, I'm too like to spit it out.
Listen, Eliza, I believe you said you came in a taxi.
So what if I did? I was going to right to take a taxi as anyone else.
You have. From now on, you shall have money to ride in taxis every day. You go up and down around the town every day.
Mr. Higgins, you're tempting the girl. She must think of the future.
Nonsense. Time enough to think of the future. At her age? Nonsense. Time enough to think of the future when you have no future left. No, Eliza. Think of other people's futures. Do as this woman does. Never think of your own. Lie.
Think of chocolate.
Think of chocolates and taxis and gold and diamonds.
No, I don't want no gold and no diamonds. I'm a good girl, I am.
and you shall remain so under the care of Mrs. Pierce. Line. And you shall marry an officer in the guard with a beautiful mustache, the son of a marquis, who will disinherit him for marrying you, but will relent when he sees your goodness and beauty.
Excuse me, Higgins, but I really must interfere. Mrs. Pierce is quite right. If this girl is to put herself in your hands for 6 months for an experiment in teaching, she must
Lie. Besides, do any of us ever really understand what we were doing? If we didn't, we ever do it.
Very clever, Higgins, but not sound sense. Miss Doolittle.
Oh.
There. You see? That's all you'll get out of Eliza. No use explaining. Give her her... As a military man, you understand that. Give her her orders. That's what she wants. Eliza, you are to spend the next 6 months here learning how to speak beautifully like a lady in a shop. If you are good and do as you're told, you shall sleep in a proper bedroom and have lots to eat and money to buy chocolates and go ride on taxis. If you are naughty and idle, you shall sleep in the back kitchen among the black beetles and be walloped by Mrs. Pierce with a broomstick. At the end of 6 months, you shall go in a carriage beautifully dressed to Buckingham Palace. If the king finds out that you are not a lady, you shall be taken by the police to the Tower of London, where your head shall be cut off as an example to other presumptuous flower girls. If you are not found out, you shall have a present of 7 and 6 pence to start off life as a lady in a shop. If you refuse this offer, you are a most wicked and ungrateful girl, and the angels shall weep for you. There. Satisfied, Pickering? Can I put it more clearly or more plainly, Mrs. Pierce?
I think you had better let me talk to the girl properly, in private. I don't know that I can take charge of her or consent to this arrangement at all. Oh, I know that you mean her no harm, but when you become what you call interested in people's accents, you never think or care what may happen to them or you. Come with me, Eliza.
Very well. Bundle off to the bathroom.
Oh, you are a great bully, you are. I won't stay here if I don't like. Oh, I let nobody want at me. I never asked to go to Buckingham Palace. I didn't. I was never in trouble with the police, not me. I'm a good gal.
Don't answer back, girl. You don't understand the gentleman. Come with me.
Well, what I say is right. I won't go near the king, not if I'm going to have my head cut off. If I know what I was let myself in for, I never would have come here. I've always been a good gal, and I never offered to say a word to him, and I don't owe him nothing, and I don't care. And I won't be put upon, and I have my feelings, same as anyone else.
Excuse the straight question, Higgins. Are you a man of good character where women are concerned?
Have you ever met a man of good character where women are concerned?
Yes, very frequently.
I haven't. I find the moment I allow a woman to become friends with me, she becomes suspicious, jealous, exacting, and a damn nuisance. The moment I allow myself to become friends with a woman, I become selfish and tyrannical. No. Women upset everything. Lie.
When you let them into your life, you find that the woman is driving one.
When you let them into your life, you find the woman is driving at one thing, and you're driving at another.
What, for example?
Oh, Lord knows. I suppose a man wants to live his own life, and woman wants to live her own life, and each of them is trying to pull each other onto the wrong track. He wants to go north, she wants to go south. They both end up going east, though they both despise the east wind. So here I am, a confirmed old bachelor, and likely to remain so.
Come, Higgins, you know what I mean. If I'm to be in this business, I shall feel responsible for that girl. I hope it's understood that no advantage is to be taken of her position.
What? That thing? Sacred, I assure you. She should be a pupil and Pupils must be sacred, or education a lie.
And teaching would be impossible.
And teaching would be impossible unless pupils were sacred. Besides, I've taught American millionaires this English, some of the most beautiful women in the world. They might as well be blocks of wood. I might as well be a block of wood. Well, Mrs. Pierce, is it all right?
I just wish to trouble you with a word, if I may, sir.
Yes, yes, certainly, come in. Oh, don't burn that, Mrs. Pierce. I shall keep that as a curiosity.
Handle it carefully, please, sir. I had promised her not to burn it, but I had better put it in the oven a while.
Oh, yes, thank you. What is it you wish to say to me?
Am I in the way?
Not at all, sir. Mr. Higgins, would you please be very particular what you say before the girl?
Of course. I'm always particular about what I... Why do you say this to me?
No, sir, you're not at all particular when you've mislaid anything or when you become a little impatient. But I must ask you not to swear before the girl.
Swear? I never swear. What the devil do you mean?
That is what I mean, sir. You swear a good deal too much. Now, I don't mind your damning and blasting and what the devil and where the devil and who the devil.
Mrs. Pierce! This language from your lips.
But there is a certain word that I must ask you not to use before the girl. She just used it herself because the bath was too hot. It begins with the same letter as bath. She knows no better. She learned it at her mother's knee. But she must not hear it from your lips.
I cannot charge myself with having ever uttered it, Mrs. Pierce. Except for during times of extreme and justifiable excitement.
Only this morning, sir, you applied it to your boots, to the butter, and to the brown bread.
Do that. Mere alliteration, Mrs. Pierce, natural to a poet.
Well, whatever you choose to call it, sir, I beg you not to let the girl hear you repeat it.
Oh, very well, very well. Is that all?
No, sir. We shall have to be very particular with this girl as to personal cleanliness.
Certainly. Most assuredly. Quite right. Just so.
I mean, not to be slovenly about her dress or untidy in leaving things about.
I meant to draw your attention to that very thing, yes. You see, Pickering, the lie.
It is these little things that matter.
It is these little things that matter. Slang.
Take care of the pence.
Take care of the pence and the pounds will take care of themselves. Is as true about personal cleanliness as it is about money.
Yes, sir. Then might I ask you not to come down to breakfast in your dressing gown, or at any rate not to use it as a napkin to the extent that you do. And if you would be so good as to not eat everything off the same plate, and to remember not to put the porridge saucepan out of your hands on the clean tablecloth, it would be a better example to the girl. You know you nearly choked yourself on a fishbone in the jam only last week.
I may do these things out of absence of mind on occasion, but certainly I do not do them habitually. And besides, my dressing gown smells most damnably of benzine.
No doubt it does, Mr. Higgins. But if you would wipe your fingers.
Oh, very well. Very well. I shall wipe with my hair in the future.
I hope you're not offended, Mr. Higgins.
No, not at all. Not at all, Mrs. Pierce. I shall be very particular before the girl. Is that all?
No, sir. Might she use some of those Japanese dresses you brought from abroad? I really can't put her back into her old things.
Yes, certainly. Whatever you like. Is that all?
Thank you, sir. That's all.
You know, Pickering, most extraordinary ideas about me. Here I am, a very shy, diffident sort of fellow. I've never been able to feel really grown up and tremendous like other chaps. And she thinks that I am some lie.
And yet she's firmly persuaded that I'm
Yet she's firmly persuaded that I'm some arbitrary, overbearing, bossing sort of person. I can't account for it.
Trouble, if I may please, sir. Trouble is beginning already. There's a dustman downstairs. Alfred Doolittle wants to see you. He says you have his daughter here.
Why, say! Send the blackguard out.
Very well, sir.
He may not be a blackguard, Higgins.
Nonsense, of course he's a blackguard.
Whether he is or not, I'm afraid we shall have some trouble with him.
No, I think not. If there's any trouble to be had, it should be him who has it with me, not I with him. Besides, we're likely to get something good out of him.
About the girl?
No, I mean his accent.
Oh.
Doolittle, sir.
Professor Higgins.
Here. Good morning. Sit down.
Morning, Governor. Thank you.
Brought up in hens.
I come about a very serious matter, Governor.
Mother Welsh, I should think. What do you want, Doolittle?
Want me daughter, that's what I want to see.
Of course you do. She's your daughter, isn't she? I'm glad to see you still have a spark of family feeling left. She's upstairs. Take her away at once.
What?
Take her away. You don't suppose I'm going to keep your daughter for you, do you?
No, look here, Governor, is this reasonable? Lon, is it fair to take advantage of a man like this? The girl belongs to me, you got her. Where do I come in?
Your daughter had the audacity to come to my home and ask me to teach her how to speak properly like a lady in a shop. This gentleman, my housekeeper, been here the entire time. Lie.
How dare you come here and
How dare you come here and attempt to blackmail me? This is a plot, a plan to extort money.
No, Governor.
Lie.
you must have. How else could you possibly?
You sent her here on purpose. You must have. How else could you know she was here?
No, Governor, don't take a man up like that.
The police shall take you up. This is a plot employed to extort money. I shall telephone the police.
Have I said a word about a brass farthing? Have I said a word about money? I'll leave it to the gentleman here.
What else did you come for, then?
Well, what would a man come for? Be human, Governor.
Alfred, did you put her up to it?
So help me, I never did. I take me Bible oath. Ain't seen a girl these 2 months past.
Then how did you know she was here?
I'll tell you if you'll only let me get a word in. I'm willing to tell you. I'm wanting to tell you. I'm waiting to tell you.
Pickering, this man has a certain natural gift for rhetoric. Observe his native wood notes wild. I'm willing to tell you, I'm wanting to tell you, I'm waiting to tell you. Sentimental rhetoric. That's the Welsh strain in him. It also accounts for his mendacity and dishonesty.
Oh, please, Higgins, I'm West Country myself. How did you know the girl was here if you didn't send her?
Looks like this, Governor. A girl gave a boy riding a taxi. Give him a jaunt. Son of a landlady he is. Well, he hung about on the chance that he might get another ride home. She sent him for the luggage, when she heard she was willing for you to stay here. I ran into the boy at the corner of Longacre and Indle Street.
Public house, yes?
Poor man's club, Governor. Why shouldn't I?
Do let him tell his story, Higgins.
Lime.
He
He told me what was up, and I ask you, what was my feelings and my duty as a father? I says to the boy, you bring me the luggage, I says.
Why didn't you go for it yourself?
Landlady wouldn't have trusted me with it, Governor. She's that kind of woman, you know. I don't give a boy a penny afore he trusted me with it, a little swine. Well, I brought it to just to oblige you like and make myself agreeable, that's all.
How much luggage?
Musical instrument, Governor. a few pictures, trifle of jewellery, and a bird cage. Said she didn't want no clothes. What was I to think from that, Governor? I ask you as a parent, what was I to think?
So you came to rescue her from worse than death, eh?
Just so, Governor, that's right.
Why did you bring her luggage if you intended to take her away?
Have I said a word about taking her away? I'll put it to you. Huh?
Well, you're going to take her away double quick.
No, Governor. No, put a man up like that. No, I ain't a man to stand in me girl's light. Here's a career opening for her, as you might say.
Mrs. Pierce, this is Eliza's father. He's come to take her away. Give her to him.
No, this is a misunderstanding.
He can't take her away, sir. How can he? You told me to burn her clothes.
That's right. I can't carry the girl through the streets like a bloomin' monkey now, can I? I'll put it to you.
You have put it to me that you want your daughter. If she has no clothes, go out and buy her some.
Where's the clothes she come in? Did I burn them or did your missus here?
I am the housekeeper, if you please. I have sent for some clothes for your girl. When they come, you can take her away. You can wait in the kitchen. This way, please.
Look here, Governor. You, me, we're men of the world, ain't we?
Oh. Men of the world, are we? Well, you had better go, Mrs. Pierce.
I think so indeed, sir.
The floor is yours, Mr. Doolittle.
Thank you, Governor. Well, the truth is, I've taken sort of a fancy to you, Governor. If you want a girl, well, I'm lying. I'm not so set on having her back, but what I might be open to is an arrangement. Now, regarded in the light of a young woman, she's a fine, handsome girl, she is. But, as a daughter, not worth a keep, and so I tell you straight. All I ask is me rights as her father. You're the last man alive to expect me to let her go for nothing. I can see you're one of the straight sort, Governor. Well, what's a £5 note to you? Well, what's Eliza to me?
Oh, I think you ought to know, Doolittle, that Mr. Higgins' intentions are entirely honourable.
Of course they are, Governor. I thought they wouldn't. I'd ask 50.
Do you mean to say you'd sell your daughter for £50, you callous rascal?
Not in a general way I wouldn't, but to oblige a gentleman like you, I do a good deal. I do assure you.
Have you no morals, man?
Can't afford them, Governor. Neither could you if you was as poor as me. Not that I mean any harm, you know, but if Eliza's going to get a bit out of this, why not me too?
Line.
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do, Pickering. It's a matter of principle. It would be a positive crime to give this chap a farthing. Yet I do see a sort of rough justice in his claim.
That's right, that's all I say. A father's heart, as it were.
Well, I know the feeling, but really, it seems hardly right.
No, don't say that, Governor. Don't look at it that way. What am I? Governors both. I ask you, what am I? I'm one of the undeserving poor, that's what I am. Think of what that means to a man. Means he's up against middle-class morality all the time. If there's ever anything going and I put in for a bit of it, it's always the same story. You're undeserving, so you can't have it. Well, my needs as great as the most deserving widow what's ever got money from 6 different charities in 1 week for the death of the same husband. Oh, I don't need less than a deserving man. I need more. I don't eat less hard in him, and I drink. Well, I drink a lot more. I want a bit of amuse me, because I'm a thinking man. Game, line. I want cheerfulness and a song and a band when I feel low. Well, they charge me the same for everything as they charge a deserving. What is middle class morality? Just an excuse for never giving me anything. Therefore I ask you, as two gentlemen, not to play this game on me. I'm being straight with you. I ain't pretending to be deserving. I'm undeserving. I plan to go on being undeserving. I like it, and that's the truth. Would you take advantage of a man's nature? Do him out of the price of his own daughter, what he's brought up and fed and clothed by the sweat of his brow, till she's grown big enough to be interested to you two gentlemen? Is £5 unreasonable? I'll put it to you, and I leave it to you.
Pickering, if we were to take this man in hand for 3 months, he could choose between a seat in the cabinet and a popular pulpit in Wales.
What do you say to that?
No, thank you, Governor. Thank you kindly. I've heard all them preachers and all them prime ministers. I'm a thinking man. Game for politics and religion, social reform, same as all the other amusements. I tell you, it's a dog's life any way you look at it. Undeserving poverty is my line. Taking one station in society with another, it's well, it's the only one that has any ginger in it to my taste.
I suppose we must give him a £5.
He'll make a bad use of it, I'm afraid.
No, so help me, Governor, I won't. Don't you be afraid I'll save it, spare it, live idle on it. Won't be a penny of it left by Monday. I'll have to go to work same as if I never had it. Won't pauperise me, you bet. Just one good spree for myself and the missus, giving pleasure to ourselves, employment to others, satisfaction to you to know it's not been thrown away. You couldn't spend it better.
It's irresistible. Let's give him 10.
No, Governor. She wouldn't have the heart to spend 10. Perhaps I shouldn't either. £10 is a lot of money, Governor. Makes a man feel prudent like. And goodbye to happiness. Now, you give me what I ask for. Not a penny less, not a penny more, and not a penny less.
Why don't you marry that missus of yours? I'd rather draw the line at encouraging that sort of immorality.
Tell her so, Governor. Tell her so. I'm willing. It's me that suffers by it. Yeah. I've got to be agreeable to her. Got to buy her presents. Got to buy her clothes, something sinful. I'm a slave to that woman just because I'm not a lawful wedded husband. She knows it too. Catch her marrying me. Take my advice, Governor. Marry Eliza while she's young, don't know no better. If you don't, you'll be sorry for it after. If you do, she'll be sorry for it after. Huh? But better you than her, right? Because you're a man. She's only a woman. Don't know how to be happy anyhow.
Pickering, if we listen to this man any longer, we shall have no convictions left. £5, I believe you said?
Yes, Governor.
You sure you won't take 10?
Not now, at another time, perhaps.
Here you are.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. Oh, pardon me, miss.
God, don't you know your own daughter?
Right, it's Eliza.
Don't I look silly?
Silly?
Now, Mr. Higgins, don't say anything to make the girl conceited about herself.
Quite right, Mrs. Pierce. Yes, damned silly.
Please, sir.
I mean extremely silly.
Look all right with me head on.
By George, a new fashion. And it ought to look horrible.
Well, I never thought she'd clean up as good looking as that. It's a credit to me, ain't she?
I tell you, it's easy to clean up here. Hot and cold water on tap, just as much as you like there is. Woolly towels there is, and a towel oh so hot it burns your fingers. Soft brushes to scrub yourself, and a wooden bowl of soap smelling like primroses. Now I know why ladies is so clean. Washing's a treat for them, if they saw what it is for the like of me.
I'm glad the bathroom went for your approval.
It did, not all of it, and I don't care who hears me say it. Mrs. Pierce knows it.
What was wrong, Mrs. Pierce?
It was nothing, sir. It doesn't matter.
I had a good mind to break it. I Didn't know which way to look, but I hung a towel over it, I did.
Over what?
Over the looking glass, sir.
Doolittle, you have brought your daughter up too strictly.
No, me, governor, so help me. Line. I never brought her up at all, except to give her a lick of strap now and again. She ain't accustomed to it, that's all. Don't worry, she'll soon pick up on your free and easy ways.
I'm a good girl, I am, and I'll be picking up no free and easy ways.
Eliza, if you say once more that you're a good girl, your father shall take you home.
Not him. You don't know my father. All he'd come here for was to touch you for some money to get drunk on.
Well, what would I do with money? Put in the plate church, I suppose. Hey, don't give me none of your lip or... Well, don't give this gentleman any of it either. Well, you'll hear about it from me, see?
Doolittle, have you any further advice to give your daughter before you go? Your blessing, perhaps?
Yeah, Governor. I'm not such a mug as to put my children up to all I know myself. Hard enough to hold them in without that. You want Elijah's mind improved? You do it yourself, with a strap. So long, gentlemen.
Stop! You will come regularly to visit her. It is your duty, you know. I have a brother who is a clergyman. He can help you with your talks with her.
Certainly I'll come, Governor. Only not just this week, because I've got a job at a distance. But later on, you may depend on me. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Afternoon, ma'am.
Don't you believe the old liar? It is soon you set a bulldog on him as a clergyman. You won't see him again in a hurry.
I don't want to, Eliza. Do you?
Not me. Don't want never to see him again, I don't. He's a disgrace to me, he is. Collecting dust when he should be working at his trade.
What is his trade, Eliza?
Talking money out of other people's pockets into his own. His proper trade's a navvy, and he works at it sometimes too, for exercise. Earns good money at it. Aren't you going to call me Miss Doolittle anymore?
I beg your pardon, Miss Doolittle. It was a slip of the tongue.
No, I don't mind. Only it sounded so genteel. Oh, I should just like to take your taxi to the corner of Tottenham Court Road and get out and tell her to wait for me, just to put the girls in their place a bit. I wouldn't speak to them, you know.
No, better wait till we get you something really fashionable.
Besides, Eliza, you don't want to go cutting out your friends now that you've risen up in the world. That's what we call snobbery.
Oh, you wouldn't call the like of them me friends now, I should hope. They've taken it out of me often enough with their ridicule when they had the chance, and now I mean to get a bit me own back. But if I'm to have some fashionable clothes, oh wait, I should like to have some. Mrs. Pierce says you're going to get me something to wear in bed at night, different to what I wear in the daytime. Oh, but it do seem like a waste of money when you could get something to show. Besides, have a good fancy changing into cold things on a winter night.
Now, Eliza, the new things have come for you to try on.
Ow!
Don't rush about like that, girl.
Pickering, we have taken on a stiff job.
Higgins, we have.
Curtain has to be backstage.
Dear, I can't get around your vowels. And though I like getting pretty postcards in your patent shorthand, I always have to read the copies in ordinary writing you so thoughtfully send me.
Well, it's not a phonetic job.
You just said it was.
Well, not your part of it. I've picked up a girl.
Does that mean some girl has picked you up?
No, not at all. I don't mean a love affair.
What a pity.
Why?
Well, you never fall in love with anyone under 45. When will you discover that there are some rather nice-looking young women about?
No, I can't be bothered with young women. My idea of a lovable woman is someone as like you as possible. You shall never fall into the way of liking young women. Some habits lie too deep to change. Besides, they're all idiots.
Do you know what you would do if you really loved me, Henry?
What? Marry, I suppose.
No! Stop fidgeting and take your hands out of your pockets! That's a good boy. Now tell me about the girl.
She's coming to see.
I don't remember asking her.
You didn't ask her, I asked her. If you'd have known her, you wouldn't have asked her.
Indeed, why?
Well, you see, it's like this. She's an ordinary flower girl. I picked her up off the curbstone.
And you invite her to my at home!
Oh, that'll be all right. I've taught her how to speak properly, and she's under strict orders as to her behavior. She's only supposed to talk about the weather and everybody's health. That should be all right.
All right! To talk about our health, about our insides, perhaps about our outsides. Oh, how could you be so silly, Henry?
Well, she wants to talk about something. Oh, don't bother. It'll be all right. Pickering's in on it with me. I have sort of a bet going that I'll pass her off as a duchess in 3 months. Well, I've been teaching her live.
I started on her some months ago.
I started on her some months ago. She's been catching on like a house on fire. She's easier to teach than my middle-class pupils because she's had to learn a whole new language. She talks English the way that you talk French.
That's satisfactory at all events.
Well, it is and it isn't.
What does that mean?
Well, you see, you have to pay attention not only how a girl pronounces things, but what she pronounces. And that's where you come in.
Mrs. and Miss Ainsford Hill.
Oh, Lord.
How do you do? How do you do?
My son, Henry.
Oh, your celebrated son. I have so longed to meet you, Professor Higgins.
Delighted.
How do you do?
I've seen you someplace before. Where was it? I have a ghostly notion where. But I know I've heard your voice. Well, never mind. You better sit down.
I'm sorry to say that my celebrated son has no manners. You mustn't mind him.
I don't.
No, have I been rude?
Not at all.
I didn't mean to be.
Colonel Pickering.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins?
So glad of you to come. Mrs. Ainsford Hill? Miss Ainsford Hill.
Has Henry told you what we've come for?
We were interrupted, damn it.
Henry, really?
Are we in the way?
No. You couldn't have come more fortunately. We want you to meet a friend of ours.
Yes, by George. We want 2 or 3 people. Well, you'll do well as enough. As good as anybody else.
Mr. Ainsford Hill.
Oh, Lord, another of them.
So good of you to come.
How to do?
Colonel Pickering.
How to do?
And I don't think you know my son, Professor Higgins.
How to do?
I'll take my oath I've met you someplace before. Where was it?
Don't think so.
Doesn't matter. Sit down. Well, here we are now, anyhow. What the devil should we talk about in Eliza?
Henry, you are the heart and soul of the Royal Society soirees, but you're really rather trying on more commonplace occasions.
Am I? Suppose I am, you know.
I sympathize. I haven't any small talk. If people would only be frank and say what they really think.
Heaven forbid.
But why?
Lord knows, it's bad enough that they think what they ought to think, but what they really think would break up the whole show. Do you think it would be agreeable if I would come out right now with what I really think?
Is it so very cynical?
Cynical? Well, the devil's so cynical. I mean, it wouldn't be decent.
Oh, I'm sure you don't mean that, Mr. Higgins.
Oh, we're all savages, more or less. Oh, we're supposed to be civilized and pretend we know things like science and literature and poetry and art, but how many of us really know even the meanings of those names? What do you know about literature? What do you know about science? What does he know about science or art or anything else? What the devil do you imagine I know about philosophy?
Or of manners, Henry.
Miss Doolittle.
Oh, here she is, Mother.
How do you do, Mrs. Higgins? Mr. Higgins told me I might come. Quite right. I'm very glad indeed to see you.
How do you do, Miss Doolittle?
Colonel Pickering, is it not?
I feel sure we have met before somewhere, Miss Doolittle. I remember your eyes.
How do you do?
My daughter Clara.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I've certainly had the pleasure.
My son Freddie.
How do you do?
Yes, by George! It all comes back to me. Covent Garden. What a damned thing.
Henry, really? Don't sit on my writing table, you'll break it.
Sorry.
Will it rain, do you think? The shower depression in the west of these islands is likely to move slowly in an easterly direction. There are no indications of any great change in the barometrical situation.
Awfully funny.
What is wrong with that, young man? I bet I got it right.
Killing.
I do hope it won't turn cold. There is so much influenza about. It runs right through our whole family regularly every spring.
My aunt died of influenza, so they say.
Oh my.
But it's my belief they done the old woman in. Done her in? Yes, Lord love you. Why should she die of influenza? She come through diphtheria right enough the year before. I saw her with my own eyes. Fairly blue with it she was. They all thought she was dead, but my father, he kept ladling gin down her throat till she came to so sudden that she bit the bowl off the spoon.
Dear me!
What call would a woman of that strength in her heart to die of influenza? What become of the new straw hat that should have come to me? Somebody pinched it, and what I say is, them has pinched it, done her in.
What does doing her in mean?
Oh, well, that's the new small talk. To do someone in means to kill them.
You surely don't believe your aunt was killed.
Do I not? Them she lived with would have killed her for a hat pin, let alone a hat.
But it can't have been right for your father to pour spirits down her throat like that. Might have killed her.
Not her. Gin was mother's milk to her. Besides, he poured so much down his own throat that he knew the good of it.
Do you mean he drank?
Drink? My word, something chronic.
How dreadful for you.
Not a bit. But then he did not keep it up on the regular, on the burst, as you might say, from time to time, and always more agreeable when he hadn't dropped in. He was out of work, my mother used to give him 4 pence and tell him to go out and not to come back home until he'd drunk himself cheerful and loving life. You see, there's lots of women who has to make their husbands drunk to make them fit to live with. You see, it's like this. If a man has a bit of a conscience, it always takes him when he's sober. It makes him low-spirited. A drop of booze just takes that off and makes him happy. Yeah, what are you sniggering at?
The new small talk. You do it so awfully well.
If I was doing it proper, then what was you laughing at? Have I said anything I oughtn't?
Not at all, Miss Doolittle.
Oh, that's a mercy anyhow. What I always say is... Well, I must be going. So pleased to have met you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Colonel Pickering.
Goodbye, Miss Doolittle.
Goodbye, all.
Miss Doolittle, if you were walking across the park, I was wondering if
What? Not bloody likely. I am Muriel Topsy.
Well, I really can't get used to the new ways.
Oh, it's all right, Mama. Quite right. People will think we never go anywhere, see anybody if you're so old-fashioned.
I dare say I am very old-fashioned, but I do hope you won't begin using that expression, Clara. I have got accustomed to hear you talk about men as rotters and calling everything filthy and beastly, although I do find it horrible and unladylike. But this last is just really too much. Don't you think so, Colonel Pickering?
Don't ask me. I've been away in India for several years and manners have changed so much I sometimes don't know whether I'm at a respectable dinner table or a ship's forecastle.
It's all a matter of habit. Nobody means anything by it, and there's no right or wrong in it. And it gives such a smart emphasis to things that are not in themselves very witty. I find the new small talk delightful and quite innocent.
Well, after that, I think it's time for us to go.
Oh yes, we have 3 at-homes to go to still. Goodbye, Mrs. Higgins. Goodbye, Colonel Pickering. Goodbye, Professor Higgins.
Goodbye. Be sure to try on the new small talk at the 3 at-homes. Don't be shy about it. Pitch it in strong.
I will. Goodbye. Such nonsense, all this early Victorian prudery.
Such damned nonsense.
Such bloody nonsense.
Clara!
Well, I ask you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Would you like to meet Miss Doolittle again?
Oh, yes, most awfully.
You know my days.
Yes, thank you. Thank you awfully.
Goodbye, Mr. Higgins.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
It's no use. I shall never be able to bring myself to use that word.
Don't. It's not compulsory, you know. You'll get on quite well without it.
Oh, only Clara is so down on me if I'm not positively reeking with the latest slang. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You mustn't mind, Clara. We're so poor, and she gets so few parties, poor child. She doesn't quite know. But the boy is nice, don't you think?
Quite nice. I shall always be delighted to see him.
Oh, thank you, dear. Goodbye.
Well, is Eliza presentable?
Oh, you silly boy. Of course she's not presentable. She's a triumph of your art and other dressmakers. But if you suppose for one moment that she doesn't give herself away in every sentence she utters, you must be perfectly cracked about her.
But don't you think something might be done? I mean, something to eliminate the sanguinary element from our conversation?
Not as long as she's in Henry's hands.
What do you mean? Don't you just say that my language is improper?
Oh, no, dear, it's quite proper. Say on a canal barge. But it would not be proper for her at a garden party.
Well, I say...
Come, Higgins, you must learn to know yourself. I haven't heard such language as yours since we used to review the volunteers in Hyde Park 20 years ago.
No, very well. I suppose I don't always talk like a bishop.
Colonel Pickering, will you tell me what is the exact state of things in Wimple Street?
Well, I've come to live there with Henry. We work together at my Indian dialects, and we think it more convenient.
Quite so. I know all about that. It's an excellent arrangement. But where does the girl live?
With us, of course. Where else would she live?
On what terms? Is she a servant? If not, what is she?
I think I know what you mean, Mrs. Higgins.
Well, dash me if I do. I've had to work with the girl every day to get her to her present pitch. Lie. Besides, she's useful. She knows where my things are, remembers my appointments and so forth.
And how does your housekeeper get along with her?
Mrs. Pierce? Well, she's jolly glad to have so much taken off her hands. But before Eliza came, she had to find things and remember my appointments. Although she does have a bee in her bonnet about Eliza. She keeps saying, "You don't think, sir," doesn't she, Pip?
Yes, that's the formula. You don't think, sir. That's
If I ever
the end of every conversation about life.
If I ever stop thinking about the girl and her consonants and her vowels and watching her lips and her teeth and her tongue and her soul, which is the greatest of the lot.
You certainly are a pretty pair of babies playing with your live doll.
Playing? The hardest experiment I've ever tackled, Mother. Make no lie. Make no mistake about it. But you have no idea how fascinating it is to take a human being and create a whole nother human being by teaching her how to speak properly. It fills up the greatest gulf between class and soul from soul.
Yes, it's enormously interesting. I'm sure, Mrs. Higgins, we take Eliza very seriously. What, every week, every day, almost, there is some new change. We keep records of every stage, dozens of gramophone discs and photographs, and...
She regularly fills our lives up, doesn't she, Pip?
Yeah, we're always talking Eliza.
Teaching Eliza.
Addressing Eliza.
What? Inventing new Elizas.
Sure,
she has the most amazing...
That girl is a genius.
Like
a piano quite beautifully.
She picks things up like a shot.
I
have tried her
out
on all things
that
of different kinds of human sounds.
Right,
Continental dialects, African dialects, hunting things
things
that took me years to master. And she picks them up as though she'd been at them all her life.
Piano. I beg your pardon.
Sorry. Once Pickering starts shouting, it's hard to get a word in edgewise.
Be quiet, Henry! Colonel Pickering, don't you realize that when Eliza walked into Wimpole Street, something walked in with her?
No, her father did, but Henry soon got rid of him.
It would have been more to the point if her mother had, but her mother didn't. Something else did.
But what?
Her problem.
Oh, I see. The problem of how to pass her off as a lady.
Don't solve that problem. I've solved it already.
No, you two infinitely stupid male creatures. The problem of what's to be done with her afterward.
What do you mean what's to be done with her? She'll go off into life with all the advantages I've given her.
Oh, the advantages of that woman that was here just now. The manners and habits that disqualify a fine lady from earning her own living without giving her a fine lady's income. Is that what you mean?
Oh, that will be all right, Mrs. Higgins.
Well, she'll be all right. We'll find her some light employment.
She's happy enough. Don't you worry about her. Goodbye.
Besides, no sense of bothering now. The thing's done, Mother.
There are plenty of openings. We'll do what's right. Goodbye.
Ooh, let's take her to the Shakespeare exhibition in Earl's Court.
Yes, let's. Her remarks will be delicious.
She'll mimic all the people for us when we get home.
Ripping.
Oh! Men! Men! Men!
I shan't be going out again.
Right, can Mrs. Pierce go to bed? We don't want anything more, do we?
Oh, Lord, no.
I say, Mrs. Pierce will row if we leave these things lying about in the drawing room.
No, chuck them over the banisters into the hall. She'll find them in the morning, put them away all right. She'll think we were drunk.
Oh, we are slightly. Are there any letters?
Oh, I did look. Where have I put my slip?
Only circulars and as ornated billet doux for you.
Yeah. Moneylender. Oh, what an evening. What a crew. What a great tomfoolery. Oh, they're there, are they?
Well, I feel a bit tired. It's been a long day. The garden party, a dinner party, and the opera. Rather too much of a good thing. But you won your bet, Higgins. Eliza did the trick, and something to spare, eh?
Line. Line. Line.
Sorry. Can you repeat the last line, please? I'm sorry.
But Eliza did the trick, and something to spare, eh?
Line.
I am so sorry. My fault.
It's just a one sentence thing, something like
I
that.
don't know what it is, though.
I didn't know what it is either.
Can you repeat that line one more time? I'm so sorry. We got lost.
But Eliza did the trick, and something to spare, eh?
Thank God it's over.
Oh, thank you. Thank God it's over.
Were you nervous at the garden party? I was. Eliza didn't seem a bit nervous.
No, she wasn't nervous. I knew she'd be all right. No, it's the strain of seeing the thing through all these months that's taken its toll on me. That was interesting at first when we were working at the phonetics, but after that I grew deadly tired of it. If I hadn't backed myself to do it, I would have chucked the whole thing out months ago. No, the whole thing's been a dreadful bore.
Oh, come, the garden party was frightfully exciting.
Oh,
My
yeah.
heart began beating like anything.
For the first 3 minutes. After that, I knew we were going to win hands down. I felt like a bear in a cage, sitting around with nothing to do. The dinner was worse, sitting there gorging for more than an hour with nothing but a damn fashionable woman to talk to. No, no, I tell you, Pickering, no more artificial duchesses for me. Lied.
The whole thing has been simple purgatory.
The whole thing has been simple purgatory.
Oh, you've never been broken in properly to the social routine. I rather enjoyed it myself. I like dipping into it occasionally myself. Anyhow. Line.
It makes me feel young. Anyhow,
Anyhow,
it was a great success.
it was a great success, an immense success. I was quite frightened once or twice because Eliza was doing it so well. You see, lots of the real people can't do it at all. They're such fools that they think style comes by nature to people in their positions, and so they never learn.
Yes.
There's always something professional about doing a thing superlatively well.
That's what drives me mad. The damn silly people don't know their own damn silly business. Like,
However, it's over and done.
however, it's over and done with. Now I shall go to bed without dreading tomorrow.
I think I shall turn in too. Still, it was a great occasion. A triumph for you. Good night.
Good night. Tell Mrs. Pierce not to make coffee for me in the morning. I'll take tea. What the devil have I done with my slippers?
There are the slippers! They're there! Take your slippers and may you never have a day's luck with them!
What on earth? Anything wrong? Get up.
Nothing wrong with you. I've won your bet for you, haven't I? That's enough for you. I don't matter, I suppose.
You won my bet. You presumptuous insect. I won it. What'd you throw those slippers at me for?
Because I wanted to smash your face! I'd like to kill you, you selfish brute. Why didn't you leave me where you picked me out of in the gutter? You thank God it's all over that you can throw me back there again, do you?
So, the creature is nervous after all. Go! Would you? How dare you, claws in, you can't show your temper to me. Sit down and be quiet.
What's to become of me? What's to become of me?
How the devil do I know what's to become of? What does it matter what becomes of you?
You don't care. I know you don't care. You wouldn't care if I was dead. I'm nothing to you, not so much as them slippers.
Those slippers!
Those slippers. Didn't think it made any difference now.
Why have you begun to go on like this? May I ask whether you complain about your treatment here?
No.
Has anyone behaved badly to you? Colonel Pickering, Mrs. Pierce, any of the servants?
No.
You don't presume to propose that I have treated you badly.
No.
I'm glad to hear it. Lie.
Perhaps you're tired.
Perhaps you're tired after the strain of the day. Would you care for a glass of champagne?
No. Thank you.
This has been coming on you for some time. It's only natural to be nervous about the garden party. But that's all over now. Nothing more to worry about.
Oh, God, I wish I was dead.
Why? In heaven's name, why? Oh, look, Eliza. All of this
Irritation.
all this irritation is purely imagination.
I don't understand. I'm too ignorant.
It's lying.
It's only imagination.
It's only imagination. Low spirits, nothing else. Nobody's hurting you. Nothing's wrong. You'll go to bed, have a good cry, say your prayers, and that will help you feel comfortable.
I heard your prayers. Thank God it's all over.
Well, don't you thank God it's all over? Now you're free. You can go do whatever you like.
What am I fit for? What have you left me fit for? Where am I to go? What am I to do? What's to become of me?
Oh, I don't know. I lied.
Oh, that's what's worrying.
Oh, that's what's worrying you, is it? Well, I shouldn't bother about that. Shouldn't have any place, any difficulty settling yourself down someplace or other. I hadn't realized you were going away. We might marry, you know. Lots of chaps are of the marrying kind. Poor devils. Lie.
You see, Eliza, all men are not.
You see, Eliza, all men are not confirmed old bachelors like Colonel and me. Lots of chaps are of the marrying kind, poor devils, and you're not bad looking. Why, I should say you're actually quite attractive. Well, not now when you've been crying and looking as ugly as the very devil, but when you're yourself and you're all right, you're what I should call attractive. To the marrying sort, of course, you understand. I dare say my mother could find some chat with her. Nice.
We're above that at the corner of Tottenham Court Road.
What do you mean?
I sold flowers. I didn't sell myself. Now you've made a lady of me. I'm unfit to sell anything else.
Tosh, Eliza. Don't you go insulting human relations by dragging all this cant about buying and selling into it. You needn't marry the fellow if you don't like him.
What else am I to do?
Oh, I don't know. Lots of things. Well, what about your old idea of having a flower shop? I dare say Pickering can set you up in one. He's lots of money. Well, you have to pay for those dogs you've been wearing all day. And then with the hire of the jewelry, we'll put a hole in £200. But, well, 6 months ago, you thought it was a millennium to have your own flower shop. Lie.
Come, we'll be all right.
Come. You'll be all right. I'm devilish sleepy. I must go off to bed. By the way, I came down for something, and what was it?
Your slippers.
Oh, yes. You shied them at me.
Before you go, sir, do my clothes belong to me or to Colonel Pickering?
What the devil use they be to Pickering?
Might want them for the next girl you decide to pick up to experiment on.
Is that how you feel towards us?
I don't want to hear anything more about that. All I want to know is whether anything belongs to me. My own clothes were burnt.
Why must you go on about this now in the middle of the night?
I want to know what I may take away with me. I don't want to be accused of stealing.
Stealing! You shouldn't have said that, Eliza. It shows a want of feeling.
Sorry. I'm only a common, ignorant girl, and in my station I have to be careful. There can't be any feelings between the like of you and the like of me. Please, will you tell me what belongs to me and what doesn't?
You can take the whole damn house full. Will that satisfy you? Except the jewels, they're hired.
Stop, please. You'll take these upstairs with you and keep them safe. I don't want to run the risk of their being missing.
Hand them over. If these belong to me instead of the jeweler, I should ram them down your ungrateful throat.
This ring isn't the jeweler's. It's the one you bought me in Brighton. I don't want it now. Don't you hit me!
Hit you! How dare you accuse me of such a thing, you infamous creature! It is you who have hit me, wounded me to the very heart.
I'm glad. I've had a little of my own back anyhow.
You have caused me to lose my temper. A thing that very seldom happens to me. I prefer to say nothing more on the matter this evening. I'm going to bed.
You'd better leave a note for Mrs. Pierce about the coffee, for she won't be told by me.
Damn Mrs. Pierce, and damn the coffee, and damn you, and damn my own folly for having lavished my hard-earned knowledge and the treasure of my regard and intimacy on a heartless gutter snipe.
on Pickering.
Well, show them up.
They're using the telephone, ma'am. Telephoning the police, I think.
What?
Mr. Henry's in a state, ma'am. I thought I'd better tell you.
If you had told me that Mr. Henry was not in a state, that would be more surprising. Tell them to come up when they finish with the police. I suppose he lost something.
Yes, ma'am.
Go upstairs and tell Miss Doolittle that Mr. Henry and the Colonel are here. Ask her not to come down until I send for her.
Yes, ma'am.
Look here, Mother, here's a confounded thing.
What is it? Good morning, dear. What is it?
Eliza's bolted.
Oh, you must have frightened her.
Frightened her? Nonsense. She was left last night to put out the lights and go to bed and so forth, as usual, and she went right off. She got dressed, she didn't even sleep in her bed, and before 7 o'clock this morning, she sent a taxi to pick up her things, and that damn fool, Mrs. Pierce, let her have them without telling me a thing about it. What am I to do?
Oh, do without, I'm afraid, Henry. The girl has a perfect right to leave if she chooses.
But I can't find anything. I don't know where any of my appointments are, and I'm going to be...
Good morning, Mrs. Higgins. Has Henry told you?
What did that ass of a police inspector say? Did you offer a reward?
You don't mean to say you sent the police after Eliza?
Well, yes, of course. What else are the police for? What are we supposed to do?
The inspector made a lot of difficulties. I really think he suspected us of some improper purpose.
Well, of course he did. What right have you to go to the police and give the girl's name as if she was a thief or a lost umbrella or something, really?
But we want to find her.
We can't let her go like this, you know, Mrs. Higgins. What were we to do?
You have no sense, either of you, than 2 children. Why would you go to...
Mr. Henry, sir. A gentleman wants to see you very particularly. He's been sent from Wimpole Street.
Don't bother. I can't be bothered with seeing anyone now. Who is it?
Mr. Doolittle, sir.
Doolittle? Do you mean the dustman?
Dustman? Oh, no, sir. A gentleman.
By George, Pick. This must be some relative of hers that she's gone to. Someone we know nothing about. Send him up.
Yes, sir.
Genteel relatives. Now we shall learn something.
Do you know any of her people?
Only her father, the fellow we told you about.
Mr. Doolittle.
See here? See this? You done this.
Done what, man?
Yes, look at it. Look at his hat. Look at his coat.
Has Eliza been buying you clothes?
Eliza? Not she, not Af. Why would she buy me clothes?
Good morning, Mr. Doolittle. Won't you sit down?
Oh, asking your pardon, Mum. Thank you. Oh, that fool of what has happened to me. I can't think of anything else.
What has happened to you?
I shouldn't mind if it only happened to me. Anything might happen to anybody, and only Providence to blame, as you might say. But this is something you've done to me. Yeah, you, Henry Higgins.
You're mad. You're drunk. I gave you £5. After that, I had 2 conversations with you at £0.50 an hour. After that, I haven't seen you since.
Drunk am I? Mad am I? Ask me this. Did you or did you not write a letter to an old blighter in America what was given $5 million to found moral reform societies and what wanted you to write a universal language for him?
What? Ezra D. Wannerfeller? Well, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. I'm done for. Now, did you or did you not write a letter to him saying that the most original moralist in all of England at this time, to your knowledge, was Alfred Doolittle, a common dustman?
Oh, after our last conversation, I might remember making some silly joke of the kind.
You may well call it a silly joke. Put a lid on me right enough. Just give him a chance he wanted to show that Americans is not like us, that they recognise and respect merit in every class of life, however humble. Them words is in his bloomin' will, in which Henry Higgins, thanks to your silly joking, he leaves me a share in his pre-digested cheese trust worth $3,000 a year, on condition that I lecture for his Wannerfeller Moral Reform World League as often as they ask me, up to 6 times a year.
The devil he does. What a lark.
A safe thing for you, Doolittle. They won't ask you twice.
Ain't you lecturing on mine? I'll lecture him blue in the face, I will, not turn a hair. It's making a gentleman of me, I object to. Arrest him to make a gentleman of me. I was happy. I was free. I touched pretty nigh everybody for money when I wanted it. Same as I touched you, Henry Higgins. Now I'm worried. Tied, neck and heels. Everybody touches me for money. Oh, it's a fine thing for you, says my solicitor. Oh, is it, says I. You mean it's a good thing for you, I says. When I was young, poor, had a solicitor once that he had a pram in me dust cart. He got me off, got shut of me, and got me shut of him as quick as he could. The same with the doctors. He used to shove me out of the hospital before I could even stand on my legs, and nothing to pay. Now they finds out I'm not a healthy man, can't live unless they looks after me twice a day. In the house, I'm not letting do a hand's turn for myself. Somebody else must do it and touch me for it. Line.
A year ago,
A year ago, I had a relative in the world, so maybe 2 or 3 wouldn't speak to me. Now I'm 50. Not a decent week's wages among the lot of them. I got to live for others and not myself. That's middle class morality. You talk of losing Eliza? Line.
don't you be anxious.
Don't you be anxious. I bet she's on me doorstep by this. She that could support herself easy by selling flowers if I wasn't respectable. The next one to touch me would be you, Henry Higgins. Yeah, I'll have to learn to speak middle class language from you instead of speaking proper English. That's where you'll come in, and I dare say that's what you've done it for.
Well, my dear Mr. Doolittle, you need not suffer all this if you really are in earnest. No one can force you to accept this bequest. You can repudiate it. Is that not so, Colonel Pickering?
I believe so.
Oh, that's the tragedy of it, Mum. It's easy enough to say, chuck it, but I've been a nerve. Which one of us has? We're all intimidated. Intimidated, Mum, that's what we are. What is there for me if I chuck it but the workhouse in me old age? I have to dye my hair already to keep me job as a dustman. Line. If I was one of the deserving poor and put by a bit, well, I could chuck it. But then why should I? Because deserving poor might as well be millionaires for all the happiness they ever has. They don't know what happiness is. But I is one of the undeserving poor, have nothing between me and the pauper's uniform. There's a blasted 3,000 a year that shoves me into the middle class. Excuse the expression, Mum, you used it yourself. You had my provocation. They got you. Every way you turn. The choice between a skilly at a workhouse and a charbitis of the middle class. I've had a nerve for the workhouse. Intimidating. That's what I am. Broke. Bought up. Happier men than me will call from the dust. Touch me for the tip. I'll look all helpless and envy him. And that's what your son has brought me to.
Well, Mr. Doolittle, I am glad to hear that you're not going to do anything foolish, for this solves the problem of Eliza. You can provide for her.
What?
Yes, I'm expected to provide for everybody now of a blasted 3,000 a year.
He can't provide for her. He shan't provide for her. I paid him £5 for her. Doolittle, either you're an honest man or you're a rogue.
A little of both, Henry, like the rest of us. A little of both.
You accepted that money for the girl, and you cannot have her as well.
Don't be absurd, Henry. If you want to know where Eliza is, she's upstairs.
Upstairs? Well, I shall jolly soon bring her downstairs.
Be quiet, Henry. Sit down.
But I...
Sit down! Dear, and listen to me.
Very well. Very well. But I should think you should have told us this half an hour ago.
Eliza came to me this morning. She passed the night, partly walking about in a rage, partly trying to throw herself into the river and being afraid to do so, and partly in the Carlton Hotel. She told me of the brutal way you two treated her.
My, what? Dear Mrs. Higgins, she's been telling you stories. We didn't treat her brutally. We hardly said a word to her, and we parted on particularly good terms. Higgins, did you bully her after I went to bed?
The other way about. She threw my slippers in my face without the slightest provocation. I walked into the room, bang, slippers in my face before I even said a word, and used particularly line. Perfectly awful language.
But why? What did we do to her?
I think I have a pretty good idea of what you did. She's naturally rather affectionate, I think. Isn't that so, Mr. Doolittle?
Very tender-hearted, Mum. Takes after me.
Just so. She had become attached to you both. She worked very hard for you, Henry. I don't think you quite realize what anything in the nature of brain work means to a girl like that. Well, it seems that when the great day of trial came, and she did this wonderful thing for you without making a single mistake, you two sat there and never said a word to her, but talked together about how glad you were it was all over, how you were bored with the whole thing. And then you're surprised because she threw your slippers at you. I should have thrown the fire irons at you.
We said nothing except that we were tired and we wanted to go to bed, did we, Pig?
That was all.
Quite so?
Absolutely, that was all.
You didn't thank her, or admire her, or pet her, or tell her how splendid she'd been.
Well, she knew all of that. We didn't make any speeches to her, if that's what you mean.
Perhaps we were a little inconsiderate. Is she very angry?
Well, I'm afraid she won't go back to Wimpole Street. And especially now that Mr. Doolittle can keep up the position you have thrust upon her. But she says that she will meet on friendly terms and let bygones be bygones.
Will she, by George? Oh.
If you promise to behave yourself, Henry, I'll ask her to come down. If not, go home, for you have taken up quite enough of my time.
Very clear. Pig, you behave yourself. Let's put on our best Sunday manners for this thing we dragged up out of the mud.
Hey, come on now, Henry. Have some consideration for my feelings as a middle-class man.
Remember your promise, Henry. Mr. Doolittle, would you be so good as to step out onto the balcony for a moment? I don't want Eliza to have the surprise of your news until she has made up with these two gentlemen. Would you mind?
As you wish, milady. Anything to help Henry keep her off of my hands.
Will you ask Miss Doolittle to come down, please?
Yes, Mom.
Now be good, Henry.
I am behaving myself perfectly, Mother.
He is doing his best, Mrs. Higgins.
You don't look at all nice in that attitude, Henry.
I'm not trying to look nice, Mother.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I only wanted you to speak.
Why?
Because you can't speak and whistle at the same time.
Well, where is this damn girl? Supposed to sit here and wait for her all day?
How do you do, Professor Higgins? Are you quite well?
Am I?
Oh, but of course you are. You were never ill. So glad to see you again, Colonel Pickering. Quite chilly this morning, isn't it?
Don't you try that on me. I taught that game to you, and I won't be taken in by it. Now, Fly!
Get up and come home and don't be
Get up and come home and don't be a fool.
Oh, very nicely put indeed, Henry. No woman could resist such an invitation.
You let her alone, mother. Let her speak for herself. You shall jolly well see she has a thought that I haven't put into her head, or a word that I haven't put into her mouth.
Yes, dear. But you sit down, won't you?
Will you drop me altogether now that the experiment is over, Colonel Pickering?
Oh, don't you mustn't think of it as an experiment. It shocks me somehow.
Oh, I'm only a squashed cabbage leaf.
No!
But I owe so much to you that I should be very unhappy if you forgot me.
Oh, it's quite kind of you to say so, Miss Doolittle.
Oh, it's not because you paid for my dresses. I know you are generous to everybody with money. Lying. But it was from you that I learned really nice manners, and that is what makes one a lady, isn't it? You see, it was so very difficult for me with the example of Professor Higgins always before me. I was brought up to be just like him, and able to control myself, and using bad language on the slightest provocation. And I should never have known that ladies and gentlemen didn't behave like that if you hadn't been there.
Well, that's only his way, you know. He doesn't mean it.
Oh, I didn't mean it either when I was a flower girl. It was only my way. But you see, I did it. And that's what makes the difference after all.
No doubt is still, he taught you to speak, and I couldn't have done that, you know.
Of course. That is his profession.
Damnation.
It was just like learning to dance in the fashionable way. There was nothing more than that in it. But you know what began my real education?
What?
Your calling me Miss Doolittle that first day when I came to Wimpole Street. That was the beginning of self-respect for me. And there were 100 little things that you did that you never noticed because they came naturally to you. Things like taking off your hat and standing up and taking off your hat and opening doors.
Oh, that was nothing.
Yes. Things that showed that you thought and felt about me as if I was something better than a scullery maid. Though I know you would have been the same to a scullery maid if she had been let in the drawing room. You never took off your boots in the dining room when I was there.
You mustn't mind that. Higgins takes off his boots all over the place.
I know. I am not blaming him. It is his way, isn't it? But you see, it made such a difference to me that you didn't do it. You see, really and truly, apart from the things that anyone can pick up on, the dressing and the proper way of speaking and so on, the real difference between a flower girl and a lady is not how she behaves, but how she's treated. I shall always be a flower girl to Professor Higgins because he always treats me as a flower girl, and always will. But I know I can be a lady to you because you always treat me as a lady, and always will.
Please don't grind your teeth, Henry.
Well, this is really very nice of you, Miss Doolittle.
I should like you to call me Eliza now, if you would.
Oh, thank you, Eliza, of course.
And I should like for Professor Higgins to call me Miss Doolittle.
I'll see you damned first.
Henry? Henry.
Why don't you slang back at him? Don't stand it. It'll do him a lot of good.
I can't. I could have once, but now I can't go back to the old way. Last night, when I was wandering about, a girl spoke to me, and I tried to get back into the old way with her, but it was no use. You told me, you know, that when a child is brought to a foreign country, it picks up the language in a few weeks and forgets its own. You see, I am a child in your country. I have forgotten my own language and can now speak nothing but yours. That is the real break-off from Tottenham Court Road. Leaving Wimpole Street finishes it.
Oh, but you're coming back to Wimpole Street, aren't you? You'll forgive Higgins?
Forgive? Will she, by George? Let her go. To see how she can get on alone without us. In 3 weeks' time, she'll be back in the gutter.
Oh, he's incorrigible, Eliza. You won't relapse, will you?
No, not now. Never again. I don't think I could. I've learnt my lesson now. I don't think I could utter one of your sounds now if I tried. Ow!
Aha! Just so. Ow! 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 Victory. Victory.
Can you blame a girl? Don't look at me like that, Eliza. Ain't my fault. I've come into money.
You must have touched a millionaire this time, Dad.
I have. But I'm dressed up and special today. Going to St. George's, Hanover Square. Your stepmother is going to marry me.
You're going to bring yourself down to marry that cruel, common woman.
Ought to, Eliza. Why has she changed her mind?
Intimidated, Governor. Intimidated. Middle-class morality claims its victim. Oh, yeah. Put on your hat, Eliza. Come and see me turned off.
Well, if the Colonel says I must, I'll demean myself. Get insulted for my pains like enough.
Oh, don't be afraid. She never comes to words with anyone these days. Poor woman. Respectability has brought all the spirit out of her.
Be kind to them, Eliza. Make the best of it.
Oh well, just to show there's no ill feeling. I'll be back in a moment.
Feeling uncommon nervous about your ceremony, Colonel. Wish you'd come down to the church and see me put through it.
But you've been through it before, Mom. You were married to Eliza's mother.
Who told you that, Colonel?
Well, nobody told me, but I concluded naturally that...
Ain't a natural way, Colonel. That's only the middle-class way. My way was always the undeserving way. But don't tell Eliza, huh? She don't know, and I've always had a delicacy about telling her.
Quite right. We'll leave it so if you don't mind.
So you'll come to the church and see me put through straight?
With pleasure, as far as a bachelor can.
May I come, Mr. Doolittle? I would be very sorry to miss your wedding.
I should indeed be honoured by your condescension, Mum. And me poor old woman would take it as a tremendous compliment. She'd been very low thinking of the happy days at all no more.
I'll order a cab and get ready. I shan't be more than 15 minutes. Eliza, I'm going to the church to see your father married. Oh, you should come in the brougham with me. Colonel Pickering can go with the bridegroom.
Bridegroom? Blimey, what a word. Makes a man realise his position somehow.
Before I go, Eliza, do forgive him and come back to us.
Don't you think Papa would allow me? Would you, Dad?
Oh, they played you all very cunning, Eliza, them two sportsmen. If there had been only one of them, you'd have nailed him. But you see, there was two. One of them chaperoned the other, as you might say. It was very artful of you, Colonel, but I bear no malice. I should have done the same myself. Been the victim of one woman after another all my life. I shan't interfere. Oh, time for us to go, Colonel. So long, Henry. See you at St. George's, Eliza.
Do stay with us, Eliza.
Well, Eliza, got a little bit of your own back, as you call it. Are you going to be reasonable, or do you want any more?
You want me back so I can pick up those slippers and put up with your tempers and fetch and carry for you.
I haven't said I wanted you back at all.
Well then, what are we talking about?
About you, not about me. If you come back, I shall treat you the same way as I have always treated you. I can't change my nature, and I won't change my manners. My manners are the same as Colonel Pickering.
That's not true. He treats a flower girl as if she was a duchess.
And I treat a duchess as if she were a flower girl.
I see. Same to everybody.
Just so.
Like father.
Without accepting the comparison on all points, Eliza, it is true that your father is not a snob, and that he should be quite at home to any station in life which his eccentric destiny may call him. Lie.
The great secret, Eliza.
The great secret, Eliza, is not having bad manners or good manners, or any other sort of particular manners, but having the same manner for all human souls. In short, to behave as though you were in heaven, where there are no third-class carriages and every soul is as good as another.
Amen. You are a born preacher.
The question isn't whether or not I treat you rudely, but whether or not you've ever heard me treat anyone else better.
I don't care how you treat me. I don't mind your swearing at me. I don't mind a black eye. I've had one before this. But I won't be passed over.
Well then, you'd better get out of my way, for I won't stop for you. You talk about me as if I were a motor bus.
So you are a motor bus. I'll bounce and go with no consideration for anyone, but I can do without you. Don't you think that I can't?
I know you can. I told you you could.
I know you did, you brute. You wanted to get rid of me.
Liar.
Thank you.
I don't suppose you've ever asked yourself whether or not I can do without you.
Don't you try to get round me. You'll have to do without me.
I can do without anybody. I've got my own life, my own soul, my own spark of divine fire. But I shall miss you, Eliza. I've grown accustomed to your voice and your appearance. I like them rather.
Well, you have them both in your book of photographs and on your gramophone, and when you feel lonely without me, you can turn the machine on.
I can't turn your soul on. Leave me those feelings and you can have the voice and the face. They are not you.
Oh, you are a devil. You can twist the heart in a girl as easy as some can twist her arms to hurt her. Mrs. Pierce warned me. Time and again she has wanted to leave you, but you always get round to her at the last minute. And you don't care a bit for her, and you don't care a bit for me.
I care about life, about humanity, and you are a part of it that has come my way and been built into my house. What more can you or anyone ask?
I won't care for anybody that doesn't care for me.
Commercial principles, Eliza? Like selling violets,
Don't
isn't it?
sneer at me. It's mean to sneer at me.
I have never sneered in my life. Sneering doesn't become the human face or the human soul. I am expressing my righteous contempt for commercialism. I don't and won't trade in affection. You call me a brute because you couldn't buy a claim on me by fetching my slippers and finding my spectacles. I think a woman fetching a man's slippers is a disgusting sight. Did I ever fetch your slippers? I think a great deal more of you for having thrown them in my face. If you come back for the fellowship of it. You've had 1,000 times more out of me than I have out of you. And if you set up your little dog's tricks of fetching and carrying slippers against my creation of a Duchess Eliza, I shall slam the door in your silly face.
What did you do it for if you didn't care for me?
Because it was my job.
You never thought of the trouble it would make for me.
Oh, would the world have ever been made if its maker were afraid of making trouble? Making life means making trouble. The only way to avoid making trouble is killing things. Cowards, you notice, are always shrieking about to have somebody else troublesome people killed.
I am no preacher. I don't notice things like that. I notice that you don't notice me.
Lie.
Eliza, you're an idiot.
Eliza, you're an idiot. I waste the treasures of my Miltonic mind by spreading them before you. Once and for all, I go about my business, doing my life without caring twopence what happens to either of us. I'm not intimidated like your father and your stepmother. Lie. So you can come back and go to the devil, which you please.
What am I to come back for?
For the fun of it. That's why I took you on.
Oh, and you can throw me out tomorrow if I give you everything you want me to.
Yes. And you can walk out tomorrow if I don't do everything you want me to do.
And live with my stepmother.
Yes. Or sell flowers.
Oh, if only I could go back to my flower basket. Then I should be independent of both you and father and all the world. Oh, why did you take my independence from me? Why did I give it up? I'm a slave now for all my fine clothes.
Not a bit. I'll adopt you as my daughter and put money upon you if you like. Or would you rather marry Pickering?
I wouldn't marry you if you asked me, and you're nearer my age than what he is.
Than he is, not than what he is.
I'll talk as I like. You're not my teacher now.
I don't suppose Pickering would. He's as much a confirmed old bachelor as I.
I don't want that. Line.
And don't you think it?
And don't you think it? I've had chaps enough wanting me that way. Freddie Hill writes to me twice and 3 times a day, sheets and sheets.
Damn his impudence.
But he has a right to if he likes. And he does love me.
You have no right to encourage him.
Every girl has a right to be loved.
What, by fools like that?
Well, he's not a fool. And if he's poor and wants me, maybe he'd make me happier than my betters than bully me and don't want me.
Can he make something of you? That's what matters.
Perhaps I could make something of him. But I never thought of us making anything of one another, and you never think of anything else. I only want to be natural.
You want me to be as infatuated about you as Freddie, is that it?
No, I don't want that sort of feeling from you, and don't you be too sure of yourself or of me. I could have been naughty if I liked. I've seen more of some things than you for all your learning. Girls like me can drag gentlemen down to make love to them easy enough. And they wish each other dead the next minute.
Of course they do. Then what in thunder are we quarreling about?
I want a little kindness. I know I'm a common, ignorant girl, and you a book-learned gentleman, but I'm not dirt under your feet. What I did was not for the dresses and for the taxis. I did it because we were pleasant together. And I came to care for you. Not to want you to make love to me, not forgetting the difference between us, but more friendly-like.
Of course. That's how I feel. And how Pickering feels. Oh, Eliza, you're a fool.
That's not a proper answer to give me.
It's the only one you'll get until you stop behaving like a common idiot. If you're going to be a lady, you have to stop sniveling over the men in your life if they're not spending half their time lying.
The men you don't know spend half their time sniveling over you and the other half giving you black eyes.
If you're going to be a lady, you have to stop lying. You have to stop. What's that word, please?
You'll have to give up.
Give up. If you're going to be a lady, you have to give up being disappointed if the men in your life don't spend half their time sniveling over you and the other half giving you black eyes. If you can't stand the strain, if you can't stand the coldness of my sort of life and the strain of it, then you'd better go off to the type of life you can stand. Go back to the gutter. It's a fine life. The life of the gutter. It's real. It's warm. It's violent. You can feel it through the thickest skin. You can taste it and smell it without any training or any work. It's not like art, literature, classical music, science. You find me cold, unfeeling, selfish, don't you? Well then, be off with you to the sort of people you do like. Go marry some sentimental hog or other with lots of money and a thick pair of lips to kiss you with and a thick pair of boots to kick you with. If you can't appreciate what you've got, you'd better go find what you can appreciate.
Oh, you are a cruel tyrant. I can't talk to you. You turn everything against me. I'm always in the wrong. But you know very well all the time that you're nothing but a bully. You think you know I can't go back to the gutter, as you call it, and that I have no real friends in the world but you and the Colonel. You know I can't go live with a low, common man after you two. And it's cruel and wicked of you to insult me by pretending I could. You think I must come back to Wimble Street because I have nowhere else to go but father's. But don't you be too sure that you have me under your feet to be trampled on and talked down. I'll marry Freddie. I will as soon as he's able to support me.
Rubbish! You're marrying an ambassador, the Governor General of India, or the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, or somebody who wants a deputy queen. I won't have my masterpiece thrown away on a Freddie!
You think I like you to say that? But I haven't forgotten what you said a minute ago, and I won't be coaxed around as if I were a baby or a puppy. If I can't have kindness, I'll have independence.
Independence. Middle-class blasphemy. We're all dependent. Every one of us, every soul of us on earth.
I'll let you see whether I'm dependent on you. If you can preach, I can teach. I'll go and be a teacher.
What do you teach in heaven's name?
What you taught me, I'll teach phonetics. I'll offer myself as an assistant to Professor Napian.
What? That impostor, that humbug, that toadying ignoramus. Teach him my methods, my discoveries. You take one step in his direction and I'll wring your throat, do you hear?
Bring away, see if I care. I knew you'd strike me someday. Ha! Now, I know how to deal with you. What a fool I was not to think of it before. You can't take away the knowledge you gave me. You said I had a finer ear than you, and I can be civil and kind to people, which is more than you can. Aha! That's done, you Henry Higgins, it has! And I don't care that for your bullying and your big talk. I'll advertise it in the papers that your Duchess is only a flower girl that you taught, and that she'll teach anybody to be a Duchess just the same for 6 months for 1,000 guineas. Oh, when I think of myself crawling under your feet, when all the time I had only to lift up my finger to be just as good as you, I could just kick myself.
You damned, impudent wretch, you. But it's better than sniveling, isn't it? Better than fetching slippers and finding spectacles. By George, Eliza, I said I'd make a woman of you, and I have. I like you like this.
Yes. Turn around and make up to me now that I'm not afraid of you and can do without you.
Of course I do, you silly fool. 5 minutes ago you're like a millstone around my neck. Now you're a tower of strength, a consort battleship. You and I and Pickering will be 3 bachelors together instead of 2 old men and a silly girl.
The carriage is waiting, Eliza. Are you ready?
Quite. Is the professor coming?
Certainly not. He can't behave himself in church. He makes remarks out loud all the time on the clergyman's pronunciation.
I shall not see you again, Professor Higgins. Goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye. Yeah, oh, Eliza. Order a ham and Stilton cheese, will you? And get me a pair of reindeer gloves, number 8s. And a new tie to go with that new suit of mine at Eel and Binman's. You can choose the color.
Buy them yourself.
I'm afraid you've spoiled that girl, Henry. It doesn't matter. I will buy you the tie and gloves.
Well, don't bother, Mother. She'll buy them well enough. Goodbye. She'll buy.